I've been looking at a Vox AC15 to buy, looking for kind of cheap versions around me, and that means that it's time to try and kill that gas by playing with the Vox AC15 on the Helix. Now, if you weren't aware, the Vox AC15 was actually the predecessor to the AC30, which I wasn't aware of until just now when I looked it up. But this was the amp that I think Hank Marvin said to Dick Denny, can you build a bigger version of this? And so the AC30 is essentially the AC15 but with 2 extra power output tubes as far as I'm aware, and possibly in later models a tone on the reverb control, although I imagine the very first AC30 models didn't have reverb, so that difference is not really super valid. So at the moment I'm not sure which actual channel of the AC15 we're dealing with here, but these are the stock tones. All I've done actually is, I believe I've taken the mids down to 5. Now the Vox AC15 does not have a mid control, and generally the way that this works with the Helix is if it doesn't have that control, if it's a mid you set it to 5, and if it's a presence you would set it to 0. Anyway, so those stock settings sound like this. So I think a really kind of nice touch responsive kind of amp feeling. The Vox in real life, the AC30s that I've played, generally they can be quite unforgiving. I'd say these are those amps where you kind of hear pretty much every note, especially when you're playing them clean. I guess that's got something to do with the Class A operation. You know, there's a lot of high-end content in there as well, you know, treble frequencies, so any kind of string noise and bits and pieces like that you will hear. So the main difference, I guess, between the AC15 and the AC30 is going to be that as we turn this drive up, we get into drive territory and we get into moving the power amp section way sooner than we would on an AC30, I'm going to imagine. So yeah, here we're using the kind of 4th position on a Strat, and you can hear that you're starting to get some break up there when you dig in. But this to me is one of those, yeah, literally defines that kind of touch sensitive stuff where if you're not digging in. So I've not even moved the volume. So yeah, I'm not feeling a need to even really move those knobs from where they're set at. As I would increase the drive, I believe you probably want to then start introducing that cut switch. So this cut switch works, you know, like the opposite of a presence, where as you turn this up, treble frequencies are getting cut. increase the drive, I might consider boosting that up a bit. But this kind of drive at 5, bass mids at 5, treble at 5.8, I really like that as a kind of sweet spot where things are sounding in that real sweet spot where I can control it. I can dig in if I want. Just really inspiring tones to play. So in terms of the cabs that I'd pair with it, so the two main choices that you've got for the typical, Vox would be blue bells, silver bells. Actually, there's 3 choices, isn't there? Or greenbacks. So I'm going for here the blue bell. So this is the Celestian Blue with the 57, and then also what I've got is the silver bell. So in the AC30 from about 1964 that I tried, that had silver bells. And that's got the 121 ribbon mic back at 5 inches distance. Other things you might want to try is using 2 blue bells and, change the mics, or 2 silver bells. Or the other thing you could mix in, like the matchless amps do, where you have 1 greenback and 1 other style. You could have 1 blue bell and 1 greenback. All sorts of things you could do like that. The other thing to consider, I guess, would be to stick a tremolo in there, and that would get you kind of all of the things that the real amp does. So, like maybe I might even put that in that loop there on path B. Anyway, just I think beautiful tones, so I'm going to go and put together a little intro with that stuff now. Pedals it takes really well. I think things with a mid boost sound great, and so things like your Tube Screamer, really good tones, or thicker things like the Diana Drive. Where are you? Although we're going to get a bit of a level boost with this. Those sorts of things I think work really nicely. So anyway, feel free to drop into my folder and grab that. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers.